Robin Hood is taken as a hero, right? But he used to rob people, right?
It's not important whether the idols are gods, so that you shouldn't pray. Do what you should be doing in this world.
But if God tells you that it's important that you don't worship idols, then it's not our place to say.
For me, worshipping is not as important as doing. In Hinduism,
Okay.
there is ways of going. Let me go back to English.
Okay.
Either by karma, dharma, or gyan. These are three words.
Okay.
Karma is what you do in this world. Everybody knows what karma is.
Okay.
Dharma is following the
Religious injections, yeah.
And Gyan is knowledge of the Vedas and the Upanishads.
Sure. Puranas.
They are Puranas. And they are proper, all these are mythologies, but they are supposed to be the Hindu philosophy. I can't say I know them, all written in Sanskrit, I don't know. And I never bothered to read too much. No, if you do good things, karma,
Right.
good things, then, and even, I'm sure, Prophet, peace be upon him,
Peace be upon him.
that when I go on, die and go to judgment, and he's sitting there, he can see I was such a good person.
Okay.
So, fine.
but
So
see,
why don't I do?
But that's a good. But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? We have to refer to what God wants you to do, right? Not what you.
That's where the Hinduism gives you one way, which is and then
One way, which is what?
which is what appeals to you. What appeals
But again, then you're not doing what God wants you to do. It's whatever appeals to you. For example, if it appeals to me to, let's say, rob people, does that mean it's good?
No.
Why would you? For example, if I feel that it's okay for me to rob people, let's say in my mind, I rob him and I give the money to the poor.
You should not rob.
Why not?
Because common sense. If
No, again, I would disagree with you because, for example, Robin Hood is taken as a hero, right? But he used to rob people, right?
I agree with that.
So-
Robin Hood shouldn't have been doing that.
So again, in his common sense, it would make sense. I had friends growing up that in their mind, if they robbed a rich person and gave some of that to the poor, in their mind they were doing good. So when you look at good and bad, it cannot be left.
Everybody likes him for doing
Well,
that.
exactly. So there's the point. When people like Robin Hood, even though he's doing something that you said is wrong, then that means we cannot leave right and wrong to our decision.
Hood was doing it for good always. Whereas the person who is robbing
Was he really?
He's doing it for selfish
But
reasons.
if somebody robs you and takes that money to give to the poor, in your mind, they robbed you. That's wrong. Right? In their mind, they're doing good. So this is why for us as Muslims, we go back to what God tells us is good and bad, because then it's not subjective. Because if you leave it subjective, then there's no morality, right? For example, in India, there used to be a slave system, right? In America, we used to have a slave system as well. In the mind of those slave owners, they were not doing anything wrong. George Washington, the founder of America, had slaves, right? But today, me and you would agree that that's wrong, right? So now, are we right or was he right, right? So again, if you leave it subjective, then there is no objective morality.
But nobody can say that slave trade was a good thing.
There are many. I mean, the East England Trading Company, right? I mean, you're standing in the United Kingdom
what I'm
that
saying.
was
Nobody
built on
can say
slavery,
it was a
right?
good thing.
But there are until today there are people who believe that was a very good thing, right? If you look at the Nazi methodology, if you talk about when we just had the EDL here, right? So that right-wing, extreme, and xenophobic, many people think it's good. So how would we differentiate? So the idea in Islam is, instead of me and you making up our own morality and saying I'm a good person and you're not, or you're a good person and I'm not, we go back to what does Allah tell us? What does our Creator tell us? Not what the Prophet Muhammad made up. It's all what was revealed to him, right?